Good evening, Internet, and welcome to Counter at Your Own Risk, episode 66, where we talk about Season 2, Episode 6 of House of the Dragon, Smallfolk. This is Kent, Kevin, and Chris. We've had just about a normal week for us in between episodes. I had a pretty good week. I have to go back to work tomorrow, so I'm dreading shaving my head and cutting my beard, but outside of that, how are you guys doing?
I'm doing better than shaving my head and cutting my beard.
I mean, I already shaved my head and cut my beard, so I'm ahead of the game, motherfucker.
I would just like to bring up and let everybody know that in our communication that we use to speak to each other, Kevin has his background set as the throne from Game of Thrones, so we are speaking with King Kevin this week.
As long as Aegon's still breathing, I'm with the throne.
Just don't cut yourself, Kevin.
It is pretty sharp.
Yeah, we saw what happened to Viss.
Alright, so, Kent, you want to bring us into what happened in episode 6?
Yes. Alright, so we start off with the Lannisters. They're marching towards Lord Lefford and the Golden Tooth. I don't know who or what the fuck any of this is, but they had the Golden Tooth have 500 fighting men to help out. Wow. I had written Thailand, but instead I actually have the country Thailand written here. So Thailand Lannister, the country, of course. He's got some archers. He's got lions, which I thought was kind of neat to see the lions. I don't think we ever saw lions in Game of Thrones. Anyways, they have I don't know, 2 or 3 times as many guys. But Tylan, he doesn't really want to do anything until he's got Aemond and Vhagar there to help him out. So they're just going to hang out at this place and wait until Aemond shows up. So Aemond's been summoned, and that was kind of our opening scene. It was fine. I mean, it just kind of sets up the next scene, but I don't know. Was anybody else surprised to see a lion? I didn't expect that.
I mean, we did see lions in Season 1 of Game of Thrones. I mean, Tyrion was Shay's little lion.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, there's plenty of lions.
But no, that was pretty cool. They were... I don't know how much good they'll do against the dragon, but maybe against people. They'll get
poor
the freak
people. Very poor people.
Oh, yeah, that's like Lannister's, arch nemesis, or, the commons.
I don't know. I'm taking the wimpy dog versus the lion. That dog has some, I don't know, chutzpah to it. I think it'll survive anything at this point.
I mean, considering how long it's been surviving without eating, waiting for its bastard to get cut down off the fucking wall.
I'm so impressed by this dog, and I'm not even one of those people, you know how there's some people I'd much rather see a dog live than 500 humans. I'm not that person, but simultaneously, I really hope that we get a name for the dog before, the dog is written off and or killed. That's my hope and dream. So, alright, leading right in from that scene, Aemond is not happy because the Tylan was summoning him, and you kind of feel bad for Jason Lannister, who's kind of just sitting there oh, this is going to be bad. Aemond, he tells Jason that he's got to make a deal with the Triarchy to help them, fuck with Sea Snake and the blockade and all that stuff. Still no response from the Greyjoys. Ironrod, I don't even know what the hell his real name is, but Ironrod, he wants to offer Alicent up as marriage bait to the Greyjoys, but she's not having it. Crispin actually backs her up, unlike last episode. Aemond, he wants to go out to Harrenhal. Crispin, he doesn't have enough men because they lost so many people at Rook's Rest. But Aemond, he's fucking... I don't know, kind of doing a little bit of the dumb stuff that we didn't see him doing before. Like, he's very eager, and he says, like, the longer that they wait, the worse that their chances are, because he's afraid Daemon's going to get more supporters. Crispin does not agree with this, but Aemon says that he will fly out when the time is right. Nobody's going to argue back. Aemon wants Alicent to stay while the rest of the council leaves. She warns him of his arrogance and boldness and reminds him that, she was quite the capable ruler when Viserys was sick, and he doesn't want to hear any of her shit. He says that she served well in a time of need. She goes back to calling them arrogant, and he says that she is relieved of her small council duties. She asks if the indignities of his youth have not already been avenged, and he says that she has the gratitude of the crown, and this was basically like... I don't know if this was like the first, but this was by far the biggest step of arrogance I think that we've seen. Maybe the second, because when Aemon was talking to Aegon and High Valyrian at that one small council meeting, that was a pretty big arrogant step too. But this I thought was like Aemon firmly just owning shit. Kevin, what'd you think?
What is it exactly that you do here again? Yeah, actually, I thought of Chris mentioning this about her role on the small council, and we were talking about that. So that was the first thing I thought of when I was like, she doesn't have a place on the council, and it was it was cool to hear her say why she was there. But yeah, and I didn't actually catch the domestic. No, he said maybe you should do some more domestic things. I wasn't sure if he meant like to do his laundry, but then he probably didn't. The queen probably wasn't doing her kids' laundry when they were young. But so they were trying to marry her to someone.
I think that was the domestic duty, and or probably not have any more kids. So I'm guessing the marriage thing.
I'm also imagining that he possibly could have been hinting that he knows that she's been fucking Crispin.
Oh, good one.
Yeah. Yeah, now that we're talking about it, I was like, oh yeah, that could be, do something more domestic, like
bang the fucking hand.
Yeah. So yeah, the only thing about Aemon I want to say is I do think that he is holding it together, like, on a war front, like, of someone, like, in a war, even though maybe, like, you bring up some good points, Kent, but I still feel like he feels more like a king of, like, battle, but I also feel like he wouldn't be a very good king either, like, if they weren't in the middle of a war. And it's all very arrogant, especially, like, basically calling out Daemon. Like, you'd hop on that dragon, like, in 2 seconds if it was to go meet up with Daemon.
Yeah, I mean, we've now seen how many different rulers between Game of Thrones and House of the Dragons that we've seen. I don't know, Aemon's probably more, well, not even Robert Baratheon, although Baratheon, obviously, was war type guy, but I don't know. Right now it seems like Viserys was the best king we've seen portrayed in these series so far. But he also didn't have a lot of unrest, it didn't seem like.
Yeah, I mean, one thing to remember, too, is, like, Aemon is completely untested, in war. He killed, Lucerys? Whichever series it was in season 1, but he's never been to battle either, because, as Rhaenyra pointed out, they've had peace, up until this point, their entire lives, since before these kids were born. So, like, all of his promise rests on the fact that A, he holds the biggest dragon, but B, in training, he was really good with a sword. So, he's got a shit ton of stuff to prove which is probably why he's making a lot of stupid decisions, because he wants everybody to think that, he's boss hog when, he still feels like the little kid who got his eye slashed and nobody protected him from that going on.
Yeah, it makes sense. Both Aegon and Aemond both kind of came into the role feeling that they had to prove themselves in some capacity, and neither one have handled it as well as maybe the viewer wants, but they're handling it exactly as you would kind of anticipate given the circumstances. So, I don't know, I think it's reasonable. It's just not going to end well for certain people, obviously, or else we wouldn't have a show. Next up, we had Corlys. He's at the Black Council table. The whole Black Council rolls in. And I made this note originally that Rhaenyra was looking really good in black, and I'm only mentioning this because it'll come back later on. But I did think Rhaenyra looked really good in her outfit. And then they bring in Steffan Darklyn, and I was like, all right, I like this guy. And Rhaenyra, she offers him the chance to become a dragon rider because she's been doing her homework because she's so bored, but she got some reading done. Rhaenyra has no hope of Daemon helping, so basically let's try Darklyn out. Let's see. God, my notes suck. We did find out that Steffan's grandmother's grandmother, Arianna, was a Targaryen princess, so he's got some of that blood. Lord Bartimos, he, as always, since we don't have Alfred, we gotta have somebody at the table being like, no, this is a stupid idea. So it was Bartimos this week, and Rhaenyra basically made sure that Steph understood the risk of doing this. And, there is some content here, but I think this was basically a lead-in scene to a scene later on. I don't know if you guys have anything else to add. Do you have anything else to add, Chris?
No, not really.
I have a question. Is old Stuffins, is he a Targaryen? Is he like a bastard Targaryen? Or is he like another descent of dragons?
Imagine like your aunt married somebody. So you're related, but she's no longer got the person name because she married into another family.
Okay. But the blood?
Yeah. So like you would be related to her and her kids, but instead of being, persons, they would be whatever, your uncle's last name was, which is why he's a Darklyn instead of a Targaryen.
No.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I just want to... I'm all cleared up.
Rhaenys, though, she was still Rhaenys Targaryen, right? Or did she take Corlys's last name?
I don't know.
I don't know if they ever said her last name. I'm trying to think. I don't remember it.
I'm sure probably like somewhere in season one.
Maybe she's like, Diana, or Fergie, not the Black Eyed Peas Fergie, but where, didn't matter what your last name was, you were the Duchess of Wales or the, Duchess of whatever, because you were that famous kind of shit.
So Rhaenys had that boom boom pow. Got it. Yep.
And that's how she died.
Damn you, Black Eyed Peas. All right. Next up, we have one of our favorite things of this whole season. Scenes of Daemon at Harrenhal having fucked up dreams. Although we didn't get him fucking his mom this week, so that's a downgrade.
Did we get him fucking anybody this week?
No. But we got one of our favorite guys back in King Viserys to make a little cameo. The first scene is Daemon approaching the throne room because apparently that's all Daemon dreams about is the fucking throne room, it seems like. Well, at least half the time. And basically they're kind of going over the same stuff we saw like in season 1 about the whole heir for the day, but in dream sequence wise. Daemon, he doesn't feel like Viserys should still be angry about it, and Viserys, he's going off on Daemon about how Viserys was always kind of like the big brother that always stood up for him and protected him, defended him when everybody else would talk shit about him or whatever. Tells Daemon to return to Dragonstone. Viserys starts crying. Daemon gets super uncomfortable, backs away, and like he just can't take it anymore, so he's trying to open the door, but the door won't open, and he's yelling for someone to open it. Viserys takes off his crown. He looks kind of, I don't know, peeved? I don't know how to describe his look. I don't know if it's important. The door opens, and of course we now have the transition from Dream World to Real World, because there's our buddy Simon Strong, the jester of the show. And Daemon gets super fucking pissed off at, like, he thinks Simon's like mocking him. Daemon holds a knife to Simon's throat, and like the other like 3 or 4 guys that are usually at the table, they get up, but like Simon's like waving them off, and it kind of ends up doing nothing. It was just Daemon's being super paranoid. He accuses Simon of possibly working with Larys, which I think's his nephew, if I'm not mistaken, or possibly working with Rhaenyra. And then Daemon's like tells Simon to stop watching him, and that was it. It was okay, but I don't think this was nearly as good as most of the other dream sequences that we've had so far with Daemon and Harrenhal. But it is really showcasing Daemon's level of paranoia at this point. Did you get much else from this, Chris?
Not really. At this point, it's fucking just spinning its wheels, and it needs to get past this. So hopefully next week it will.
I'm wondering how long they're going to drag out Daemon being at Harrenhal. Like, I mean, I know how this kind of goes, but I'm just legit wondering from a time frame how many more episodes before they kind of try to shift gears from the whole dream stuff. Kevin, did you get much else out of this other than the paranoia?
No, it's just the same old thing. These are the things that, like, the memories that haunt him, and and he's making a big play, and and it makes us question, if he's unraveling there, what's going to happen when he like leaves the safety of the Harrenhal.
Yeah, I mean, really,
it seems like he could die there. Like and be there for all the rest of the season.
He could be another ghost of Harrenhal, because didn't Alice? I think Alice said that he's going to die there. So, I don't know if that was a premonition or not, but who knows? All right.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just wondering. Like, I guess if I didn't know what I knew, I would legit wonder if he was like going to accidentally like fucking kill himself, like chasing some ghost or something, like just walk off a ledge or something, which would be a really sad, fucked up way for that character to go out, but it would almost be apropos for it in some weird way. Like,
yeah, he definitely can't handle his mystery potion stuff that he took that one time.
Hello, stranger that I barely know. You're giving me something that I can drink? Sure. Okay. Yeah. That really is one of the worst things that they did in this whole series. Like, it was just so out of character, it felt like. Alright, we have Daemon, he goes outside, there's Caraxes just chilling. And of course, when we have a Daemon scene, we have a dream scene, what are we going to get immediately after? We're going to get a Daemon and Alice scene. The formula is kind of getting stale in some ways. She asked if if he wasn't going to bid her farewell. She talks about ghosts and curses, blah, blah, blah. He's not having it. She names off all of his failures. She tells him that he isn't a player, just a piece on the board. He's mad because Rhaenyra never won the crown, that he so desperately yearned for, and she suggests that's exactly why Viserys named her the heir, because she didn't want it, so that would potentially make her a better ruler. Daemon asks her for some counsel for dealing with the River Lords. She's amused that he's asking. She says that the Tullys, they aren't the biggest or the richest, but it is like the most stable house in the Riverlands that kind of keeps the balance and peace. Or I don't know how they can even say that given the Blackwater or whatever and Brackens, but whatever. Apparently they bring peace. Daemon calls Lord Grover Tully a dotard. That was fun. Alice tells him that the Rivermen are way too stubborn. He says that he can't do anything, so she says, well, don't do anything, wait 3 days. An owl comes, perches itself on her arm, and she says after 3 days the winds will shift. So I'm guessing by the next episode we'll have gone 3 days and we'll get to see how the winds have shifted. Yeah.
It already shifted.
Alice turns into the log lady from Twin Peaks.
Oh, jeez.
With the owl, she's just a little log. Can I ask a question? You guys know more about this? So, like, Daemon and Alice are not. Their conversations are always kind of like by themselves. Like, is this like a Sixth Sense type thing? Is this like?
I don't think so, because at one point in this episode, who's the guy who is Simon says, "Oh, we sent Alice, our renowned physician, over to assist Tully."
Yeah, basically, they basically acknowledge that she poisoned Lord Tully. At least that's what I got out of it. So, she is a real entity.
Oh, okay.
She gave him the same shit that she.
The old guy could not handle his shit.
The old guy up.
Yeah, you got to hydrate,
drink more water, man.
In you or something. My God.
Yeah, you're not a young man anymore.
Are you guys still enjoying the dream stuff, or do you need like a change of pace? Like, is this just becoming fucking Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote episode after episode at this point? Chris.
I mean, what I'm not getting is the pacing on this series. They do a really good job. I think they did a really good job in season 1 of, giving us 18 years or so of history, decently paced. I mean, some people were bitching about the time jumps, but I don't think they were not understandable compared to, like, say, something like Witcher season 1. But then we have season 2, and we're into almost 5 hours of Daemon just fucking having dream sequences in Harrenhal at this point. Like, it feels like it's kind of stagnated, and we're getting little streams of what we're going to be seeing in the future. But for every scene with, like, say, Hugh or Ulf in this episode, we're getting like 10 to 15 minutes of Daemon having dreams or wandering around Harrenhal or acting confused, and from somebody who was shown to be political, a great warrior, somebody that people feared, a force in the kingdom. Now he's just kind of fucking spinning his wheels, and, like, I have no idea why he's talking. Like, I get why he's speaking to Alice, but I don't have an idea of why someone who's as arrogant as Daemon is treating her as an equal, especially when she's a bastard with no official standing. So I don't know if she's bewitched him or what, but Yeah, I'm ready for this to be over and them to just push forward into whatever's going to be coming up next.
Yeah, it's hard to top banging your mom and then like going back to King Viserys like in the next episode. Like you got to keep the fucked up, you know. But yeah, I think he's just spiraling. Like the moment he's in the dumps of showing up to Harrenhal, and I do feel like taking that drink and like was in his character. Like it didn't feel like it at the time, but what we have seen since then is like he's playing king. But like what's funny about it is people really, you know, he is a player in this. But like when we go and cut to Harrenhal, oh, it's worse than they could even imagine. Because he is going for the throne, but it's ridiculous. I don't know.
It's like one of the worst paths towards the crown at this point. Like, he thought, oh, getting Harrenhal, that's going to be great, but he just kind of got a dump. Like, cool, I got a few people that exist in this huge place, but that's all I got. And some creepy bitch. I in some ways, I almost feel like they had to find a way to make Daemon less likable, because I do feel the general consensus is that Daemon was arguably a lot of people's, like, at least top 3 favorite characters from the first season, and I don't think they wanted... I don't know, I get the feeling that maybe they don't want Daemon to be such a huge focal point of fans. I don't know. It just seems that they're doing him wrong in some way, deliberately. But, I don't know. I mean, they're giving him time, at least. It's just, yeah, you go from fucking your mom to your brother crying. Doesn't do much for me. Alright. Next up, we have the Dragon Pit. At least that's what... I'm pretty sure that's what they call it. Anyway, we have, I don't know, like 6 or 8 dragon keepers. They're singing, they're serenading the dragon. I found this whole scene utterly fascinating and funny at times. Stefan, he's there. He is super nervous. Rhaenyra, Jace, and one of the dragon keepers are way in the back, just kind of observing. The only thing that they have to really tame the fucking dragon are some torches and some really thin, I don't know, sticks. Like, that's their training, their wooden staffs or whatever. So we get sea smoke rises, and I don't know, I feel like the lady's kind of like the head bitch in charge there. Like, she's the one kind of running the show, telling Stefan exactly what he's got to do, which means, don't show any fear to the dragon. They keep yelling at the dragon to obey in Old Valyrian, and Sea Smoke, chills out and, lowers his head. And then the lady kind of gives Stefan the okay to, get closer but confident. And, like, what's going to happen. I don't know about you guys, but I could hear, like, the Looney Tunes theme song playing in my head as this whole scene's unfolding. And so Steph just lurches and lurches closer, and then Sea Smoke's like, I don't respect you, motherfucker, and lights him up, and... Oh, Stefan actually has to say, I've done it, which was, of course he has to say, I've done it, and then Sea Smoke burns his ass, and 1 or 2 dragon keepers, and while one of the dragon keepers was on fire, he just takes out a dagger and just slits his throat. Fuck burning alive, fuck that. So, yeah, I don't know. I found this whole thing kind of silly and yet fascinating at the same time, just because I don't think we've ever seen exact, routine on how to train your dragon, so to speak. Did you find this fascinating or funny, Kevin?
Oh man, this was a great scene. All Stuffalopicus was get a dragon and just got lit right up. Yeah, and the woman too. When you were like, "Oh, we got these sticks and people singing," I was like, "Well, the chimney sweep who's screaming High Valyrian at the dragon, we got her too. She was the great part." And I never thought of like being able to opt out of burning to death, let alone by a dragon. So that was a nice little touch.
It was a heads up play.
Yeah, it was a great scene, and not surprising but very satisfying.
And Chris?
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty good scene. It wasn't by any means of or stretch surprise on the outcome. And like you said, he probably would have been okay if he hadn't fucking opened his mouth, but, famous last words.
Yeah, I mean, that was like a horror movie trope right there. That, I'll be right back. That was him basically saying, I'll be right back. And the dragon being like, nah. So, next up, we have Corlys talking to Alan. Adam's nearby. He's working on ropes or some shit. I don't know. Corlys wants Alan as his first mate. Alan doesn't really want to. So Corlys tries giving him like a little pep talk like, I was younger than you when I first started doing all this shit. And Alan really just doesn't want to do it, so he asked if it was an order or a request to do this. And Corlys just like, well, I expect your ass here tomorrow at sunrise. And Alan has no choice but to accept, and Adam looks on, and I don't know. I feel like there's not much more to it other than, like, we'll get to the scene later on that we can kind of deep dive a little bit more into. So I'm just going to kind of move ahead a little. We have the tavern scene. We get some of our lesser people that we've gotten to know. We have Diana, we have Ulf, and we have Sylvie, the whore that Aemon has a raging clue for. Diana's like the waitress. She serves Ulf some thin soup, and Sylvie she wants ale, no soup. Sylvie talks about how the Red Keep just keeps having all these fucking feasts while everyone starves, and she mentions that Rhaenyra was the rightful heir who was denied her seat, and she takes off, and Ulf isn't digging the soup. This was just kind of like the first of quite a few scenes involving the Smallfolk. I got this one right. This was Ulf, right? I didn't fuck this up, Chris?
Yep.
Yes, you got it right.
Okay. Good Lord. People, if you're watching this and they're confused, apparently Ulf doesn't have a beard and Hugh has a beard, and that's probably the only way I'm going to be able to tell anybody apart, because I'm stupid like this. Once again, we're going to kind of touch more on this topic later, so I'm going to kind of just move forward a little bit.
Wait, I do have a question, though.
Sure.
Because this, so she's pregnant when she gets up after drinking the beer?
Sylvie?
The prostitute. Oh, the madame. When she got up, was that like not a big pregnant belly? Did you guys see that?
Okay.
I didn't notice. No.
No, I didn't.
No. Okay.
You may have caught it though. I wasn't paying attention.
I feel like I didn't recognize it the second time, but the first time I thought she was like pregnant, and then I was kind of curious to like how much time has passed from the first episode of this season to now. Do you guys have an inkling? Has it been a month? How long has Daemon been there? He's been there basically since the beginning of the season, right? Episode 1?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're hypothesizing that Aemon may have gotten her pregnant, which would...
Or, it could just be a rando. And it also could be...
Oh, it could have been one of Aegon's buddies, because they brought him there to fuck her and embarrass Aemon at the same time.
Yeah, she looked pretty prego, though, so I don't know. But
that makes sense.
That's what I thought. Yeah, so I don't know.
Fair enough.
Okay.
That soup also looked
But do you guys know? Do you guys have an idea of how much time has passed?
I have no clue.
No.
1 month, 2 months?
Well, you figure how... Well, I don't know how long it takes for, like, them to travel on Dragon, because, Game of Thrones taught us, warping is possible, but we do know that from Rook's Rest, they had to wagon Aegon's body all the way back. So, I think a month would be a fair guess since the beginning of the season.
At least.
Who the fuck knows? I mean, the travel is fucking crazy again. Like,
it's unreliable.
like Bela makes it to fucking all the way across Westeros in like what, 10 minutes of an episode, and yet like the kids they're getting ready to leave, and they're gonna I don't know, like travel is fucking weird again. I don't know.
Yeah, it really, it's tough to pinpoint. This is one of the few things where I kind of wish they would give us like legit dates on screen, but then of course they'd actually have to hold themselves to the same rules, and so obviously they don't. Just fits their narrative, I guess. Also, it was... Alright, am I the only person that thought it was weird that we saw Diana, but like, we saw Diana at the very end of the last episodes, and like, this was the only scene we had of Diana. I kind of thought it was weird. I expected something after we saw her with Alinda. Did that surprise anybody else that nothing else came of her this week?
Yeah, I mean, that was the last scene of the last episode, and then we get this, and there's no Alinda. She's just chilling in the tavern with the madam, and it felt out of place. It felt like stuff that probably got cut from a separate episode put into this episode, except I doubt that. So again, it just felt out of place.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, when it's like the last scene, you kind of expect like a follow-up. That's what they've trained us to expect, and there just wasn't. Okay, moving on. We have Lord Bartimos talking to Rhaenyra, and he's doing exactly what you expect him to do. He was like, remember all those things that I said were a mistake? They were a mistake, and you fuckers ignored me. So then she slaps the shit out of him, and she... probably one of her best lines of the whole series so far is that she says it's her fault that he has forgotten to fear her. I love that line. She goes to her room and she picks up a sword and she's kind of like, maybe I could be a warrior, I don't know. And then of course, this being like the first important scene of the episode, because Mysaria walks in, and she says that the whole Stefan thing was well worth the risk. And Mysaria says that Stefan can't be the only possibility. She said that she's heard the Smallfolk, they're hungry and they're listening, waiting kind of for some kind of help. And tonight, there's going to be a burning bright light or something. I didn't write down the exact wording. So anyways, we know that Mysaria and Rhaenyra have a plan, which we will see play out. And Mysaria also notes that this new look of Rhaenyra's, it becomes her. And as I said beforehand, I was already thinking that. Did you guys pick up on, I think Rhaenyra this was her best, look so far that we've seen of her. Did you guys, feel that same way, Chris?
Okay.
Excellent.
I think she always looks good.
Excellent. Okay.
I mean, not to slight Emma Darcy, but I think Millie look was probably the best Rhaenyra look.
Well, yeah.
Did I think that the outfits this week looked well? Yes, the outfits looked cool this week.
Yeah.
Definitely Team Black this week.
For outfit-wise, yeah. I'm still on Team Green, though, philosophically, until something else changes. But, yeah, I don't know. I just thought it looked good on her. Anybody... Is Bartimos going to make it to Season 3, Kevin? Bartimos, the guy that got slapped by Rhaenyra.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we don't even need him. Yeah, I don't know. I keep forgetting that he's there or who he is. He's just another nagger on the council.
He's a no man. He's not a yes man. He's definitely a no man.
Yeah. So I think you never know with a show. I have no idea, but I mean he could not really do anything much or just a couple things and then fade into the background and come in, the last season, third to last episode and just do a little bit part. So
she
you never
could
know,
send
right?
him on some, like, hey, I need you to go to some house and talk to them, and then we don't see him for a while. I do feel like if Daemon was around, Daemon would have probably beheaded this guy by now, though.
Yeah, she could just send him to Daemon. Be like, I need you to go check on the other guy.
You go hang out with Alfred, too, okay? Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's my question. Like, how can Bela and the kids get all the way across Westeros in less than an episode, but What's-His-Nuts still hasn't arrived at Harrenhal when he left last episode?
You know what? I feel that Alfred's the kind of guy that probably takes, hourly breaks. That's the only reasonable thing I can come up with, because traveling is just the worst in Westeros. Just, it makes no sense.
I don't know. It almost is the best.
Yeah.
I mean, you can leave for someplace and arrive like 10 minutes later, or you can leave for someplace and arrive like 2 seasons later. I mean, you
Dude,
just
I
never
could go
know.
to California in 10 minutes, or I could go to Mayfield in fucking 20 weeks. Nothing makes sense. But it is glorious. All right.
You can hitchhike down 30 in about an hour
Personal experience?
to Mayfield.
Excellent.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, yeah, someone will pick you up.
You know what? I absolutely agree on that, because A, people will give you a ride, and B, I feel like my look is unique enough that people would know me, and there's bound to be a couple people that would pass me and know me. So I agree with that. Wow, the typos are so bad this week. All right, anyway, we go to King's Landing. The Smallfolk in the city, guys out of fish or whatever, and Hugh's wife, Kat, is there. She's like, I've been waiting in line, no food. Do you have any scraps? I'll take scraps. And then just conveniently, there's a couple horses drawing a wagon full of sheep, and the people are like, fucking dragons getting fed, we need food. And I guess this is a point in time where I realistically sat there and I wondered, what is more important? Is it more important to keep your people fed or to keep your dragons fed? So, Kevin, what is more important? You may be muted.
Oops. I was muted. Yeah, I caught it. Well, dragons, right? We've already given this war to the dragons, so they're probably more important. I mean, it depends on the people, but how much money do they got?
I mean, are those people going to take up arms when Rhaenyra brings a dragon there? No, they're not going to do anything. That dragon's going to do something, so I don't know. Chris, what do you think? You feed dragon or feed the small folk?
I think that you feed the dragons, but you let the small folk leave, especially the ones who aren't doing anything. And then you don't necessarily need to worry about uprisings going on. But, I mean, that's just my opinion.
No, that people should be free to leave if they want to seek out better employment.
I mean, you got to lock down the people that you need, like the blacksmiths, and whatnot. But, all of the mouths that are just there not really doing anything.
Yeah, keep the brothel workers there, too. Very important.
Well, yeah, fuck yeah. I mean, who else is Aemon going to have to fucking curl up and call mommy?
We won't even have a society without them. So I looked back on my phone real quick, and I guess I was wrong about that. The way she stood up, though, seemed like she was pregnant, but not pregnant.
Oh, okay.
So,
well, that was an interesting thought at the very least.
Yeah, I thought maybe that was going to give us some idea that it's been like maybe 3 months or 4 months, because she was definitely pretty, I don't know if we saw her stomach really, but because she was always like cradling.
Yeah, it would make sense that she, I don't want to say chubby, but maybe like not bone thin, and she was the madam of the house, so maybe, she probably gets some eats at the very least, so makes sense.
Yeah, and when Aemon got up, I really wasn't looking at her anymore. that hard body naked walk
Man,
out. And
you know what? I would trade places with him, though. I'd take that good, thin, muscular look. Why not? Plus the hair. The hair game's on point.
He's the Prince Regent that was promised.
All right, we got next scene. I think it was just Aemond, Ironrod, and Larys. And Larys makes his move. Like, they're talking about the unhappiness of the small... Well, I wrote down small fold, because typos are awesome. Aemond, like, I had to rewind it, but he legitimately is like, why are they so mad at us? I was like, I don't know. That just seemed like an uncharacteristically naive and stupid question from his character, knowing what we know about him. But whatever. He asked the dumb question. At this point, Larys, like, hey, you need a hand. I'm a hand. Make me your hand or a foot, whatever. And Aemond sees completely through this ruse, and he's like, yeah, that's a great idea. I need you to go contact my grandsire, Otto, because he was a really good hand. And that was great. And then Orwell, he enters, says that Aegon is stronger than he expected, and Aemond is not pleased. So, I mean, I don't know if you knew this from anything beforehand, Chris, but, like, were you surprised that Larys didn't weasel his way in, and was you surprised that Otto's the choice of hand?
No. I mean, no, like, Aemond is definitely a different person than Aegon, who's kind of just fucking stupid. Aemond is arrogant, and that's definitely his, arrogant and vengeful, and that's definitely going to be his downfall, but he's not stupid or able to be manipulated like Aegon is.
Yeah, I think that's... not only that, I mean, it kind of goes hand in hand with just last week's episode where Alicent was, or not, maybe, whatever episode it was where Alicent was, like, telling Aegon that he should sit there and just shut up and learn. So it's kind of a, you know, interesting dynamic. Kevin, were you surprised that Larys didn't get it and Otto may get it? We're assuming.
No, that makes Chris pretty much got it dead on. I agree with all of that. Yeah, and you know, but yeah, I'm not surprised that Larys made his move. And so the other guy there, who was that? Because there was just the one other guy, right? Ironrod. So was he... Did you guys see the look on his face? Was he pissed that Larys was making his move and, like, he was going to make his move? Like, was he like, this guy's going to be hand, or just because this guy was making his move and he's sketch?
I think it kind of is reminiscent of, like, Game of Thrones, where you had Littlefinger and Varys and even Pycelle, like, all kind of gunning for similar things, and, like, as soon as one would make a play, like, you would see, like, the looks on the other people's faces. I think it's a similar dynamic.
Like, he was like, damn it, that was going to be my next question. And be like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see... Like, we just don't know anything really about Ironrod. I have no idea anything about his family, or... I don't even know what he's doing on the small council. Have they ever said what he is? Chris, do you know?
Waiting for an opening.
Is it?
He's like, I didn't even know the hand was a position anymore. I thought that was Chris.
Are you talking about Ironrod?
Yes. Is he... Like, do you know?
Isn't he Master of Coin?
Could be. I mean, did he take over what Beesbury was?
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, like, these guys... Like, you keep pulling out these names, but I think they've only ever been referenced by name, like, once. You know, and it's just IMDb is helping us.
You gotta watch with the subtitles on, man.
Yes. Absolutely. That's the only way I know who the hell half these people are. But, alright.
Oh, I just want to add one more thing to that scene. Ironrod is a really good name for a Master of Coin. Okay, that's it.
It's a good nickname for many reasons, quite frankly. Just, it's no dragon cock, that's for sure. Moving on, we get We see like Aegon in bed, and he's getting like the, I don't know, dressing kind of pulled off of him, and we see Aemond. He enters the room. He wants to be alone with his brother, and Aemond. He asks Aegon what he remembers, and Aegon says he doesn't remember anything. So Aemond puts that, I don't know, the ball, the stone marble ball, whatever that they have in the small council, in Aegon's hand, and like presses it into his wound to try to make a point. And Aemon's like, yeah, you foolishly challenged Meleese, and Aegon just claims to remember nothing. Then Orwell kind of enters, and Aemon just tells Orwell to make sure that his brother rests comfortably, wants him drugged up, which we'll get more to later. I don't know, not much to really say until we get to the other one. Then we get the scene. I know this is leading up to something, but God, I'm already kind of sick of these people. We get Rhaenyra. She's outside walking with Joffrey, and then they come across like this section of burnt ground and animals, and then they end up at the Vale, I want to say, and Lady Jane Eyre walks in, and basically Jane says, that she's got good news. Prince Reggio, which I think is the same guy we saw hosting Aemon and Laena back in season 1. I'm pretty sure it's the same dude. He's willing to shelter all the boys, and Rhaenyra isn't happy. Even though she's not happy at the Vale, she also is unhappy because she feels that Lady Jane lied to her about no dragons, and Jane's like, well, there is a dragon. It's big, but it doesn't have a rider. It's not tame. And she says they're going to board a merchant ship called the Gay Abandon, and that's going to ship Rhaena and the boys to Pentos. And I swear there's a part of me that really wants Laenor to be like the captain, but it's not going to happen. I just really want it to be. Am I the only person that really just doesn't care about this part of the story? Like, I wish they gave them something of interest other than just, hey, we're waiting around to do nothing. Kevin, what do you think?
Well, you might be right. It might just be to give actors scenes. But, I think it's going to add up to something. The way the show, or Game of Thrones in general, does it, you just got to sit back and watch. I mean, but I get it, what you mean, or what I would think is because this episode is just another pressure-building episode, and it is very less pressure of any of it. It's just her complaining that she, isn't getting the dragon that she wanted. But she's got a dragon. It's just, right? Is that the...
No, she doesn't.
No dragons like her.
Oh, not even the baby dragon? They're not, offering that up to her?
No, because the ones... The eggs are potentially there for her, but all the baby dragons that went with them have already been bonded to the little baby Targaryen, her brothers.
Oh, yeah. I'd be pissed, too.
So, have you been spoiled on this portion at all, Kent?
About what's to come?
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is what's making me really confused, because the timeline is all fucked up wrong right now. Yeah, so I don't know. I get that, yeah, this is supposed to be indicating something coming up in the future, but you still haven't even introduced characters who are part of that involved portion. There's a whole dragon and a character to go with that dragon who haven't been introduced yet. Yeah, which is another way that, travel is going to be fucked up, because if this went the same way that Getting to the Vale did, they're going to be on the ship within 10 minutes of the start of the next episode.
Let's get it going. Let's plow through it.
At this point, because I was wondering inside if the thing was going to happen this week, but because it's not now, we have 2 episodes remaining, so I don't see any... They're going to wait until the season finale for this. I think that's how this is going to go down, which means that they're saving Daemon and Aemon, whatever the fuck they're going to do for season 3 at the very least. It depends on how much more they want to stretch this out and kind of fuck up the timeline a little bit. But whatever. I don't know.
I mean, I could see this going to season 3.
Yeah.
Because, like, you as of right now, in that situation that happens, you have 1 of 5 set up, kind of 1.5. So there are still like 3.5 who haven't done anything more than get on the back of a dragon.
Right. Yeah.
So you don't go from not even being introduced to dragon, like the amount of stuff they have to do to get those people to where they need to be to get to that point. I don't think they can hit it, but it feels like they're pushing for this to happen before that stuff gets in. So I don't know. I mean, that
I could see them actually trying to divvy up, like divide the event into like 2 parts and just not completely follow the book. That, I guess, that or else, as you say, like the timeline's so messed up, they can easily stretch it to season 3 because they haven't introduced enough of the stuff. So yeah,
which is fine.
It's
fine. You can change the timeline or keep it the same, whatever you want to do. But it feels like we're spinning our wheels in Harrenhal, and yet like this portion of the story is progressing so fast that it's like, I get why people would feel the way that you feel, because if you haven't read the book or been spoiled by just reading stuff on the internet, because fucking people throw Game of Thrones spoilers right into the titles of shit on Yahoo, then you have no idea that this is, a lead into something. You can infer just by past practice with Game of Thrones and House of the Dragons, but you don't know for certain.
Yeah. First and foremost, I'm really sick of, for the last, 10 to 15 years, we as a society have done pretty good with spoilers as far as headlines go. And then, you read a story and it'll say spoilers ahead. Now they are straight up just not giving fucks and just putting spoilers out there, and it sucks. And I think I said this last week, I'll say it again. Don't look up, characters or anything. Like, if you're curious, ask a friend. Don't fucking look online, because you will have something inevitably spoiled for you. I've had so much spoiled without me actually, being curious about, what's going to happen, a quick.
You don't even need to ask. Just the way the algorithm works, we do a podcast on it. It picks up on that, and then all of a sudden, all of my feed is just fucking Game of Thrones shit.
So I guess my one question to you would be, if you think that they're going to hold off till season 3 because of everything, do you know of any other big event that they could use for a season 2 finale? Because I mean, I'm not that familiar. I don't know if there's anything else big enough that would. And the only thing I can think of is possibly Rhaenyra finding all the Dragon Riders to end it.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I mean, because they're clearly leading up to that being a moment. I guess that could be the end of season 2, but that would, I don't know, whatever. All right.
We only got 2 more episodes, guys. So we'll.
I mean, and we've seen kind of what's going to be going up in the next episode. Yeah. If you watch the, next week on House of the Dragon.
All right. Moving forward. I liked this scene for what it was. We see Alan is shaving his head, and we can see he has some white fuzz. And I never once gave any thought about Alan having the white hair. So I thought this was all quite interesting that he's been shaving his hair so that people didn't necessarily know that he was Corlys's bastard. And Adam's just like, dude, fucking take advantage of that shit. Adam definitely is feeling like he's being ignored by Corlys, and he's just going to the jelly school of jealousy. But all that will kind of, come to a head a little bit later. I don't know, did anybody else find it interesting, though, the whole head shaving thing? I thought it was just a neat little, I don't know, small nuance, I guess.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, something that we should have picked up on that, just didn't occur to us, but makes completely sense, or completely makes sense in retrospect.
Yeah, it was kind of like staring us in the face, and as a bald man, and my obsession with hair game, you would have thought that I may have thought of that, but nah. Kevin, did you like it?
Yeah, honestly, I thought it was like shaving cream or soap, so I didn't really. But yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I feel like Chris nailed these two guys last week, as we'll get to.
Oh yeah,
predicted all of this. So Alan is now going to be leading the ship.
He's gonna be Corliss's first mate, so backup boss on the ship.
right.
Moving on up.
All right. Next, we have Jace. Jace is kind of coming off a little whiny this week. I don't know. Anyways, he tells his mother that he admires her boldness, and he heard that she struck Bartimos, and she says he's lucky that she doesn't have his tongue, and she's sick of being sheltered, blah, blah, blah. The same shit we heard last week. Then, as Chris so eloquently mentioned, I'm just going to name some people that we have no idea who the fuck they are. She says that she has Lord Mooten on march to Rook's Rest, which I don't even know what the fuck the point of that is. Like, that just seems... I mean, maybe they can take advantage because there's not a lot of guys left. I don't know. Because I think Crispin said that they put a weak garrison. I don't know. Whatever. Jace says that... they need Daemon, and she's getting pissed off, like, I am fucking sick of everybody reminding me about Daemon. Like, I'm here, Daemon's not, Daemon's fucking off. And my girl, Mysaria, shows up, says that their gift has been sent. Jace asked what gift, and you could see he went to the little jelly school of jealousy, too, because he was not involved in this little plan. And... Rhaenyra says to hope for, I don't know, dark clouds over Blackwater tonight. Jace just kind of walks off all pissy, and Mysaria gets a little closer to Rhaenyra, and it's cute. And I don't know, Jace. I don't know if I should feel bad for Jace, or if he... I don't know. Is Jace jealous, or does he just feel like he's busting his ass and that he deserves to be in the loop on info? Kevin, what do you think?
Oh, it's definitely just being in on the loop, and, he doesn't realize that he's kind of acting like an ass in front of everyone to his mom. She's, like, more open with him when it's just the two of them, but when he's, acting like everybody else, it's probably even more annoying than these old men, because it's her son, so, How old is he? He's got to be like...
he's got to be in those mid-teens.
Is he old?
Yeah, he's young, yeah.
All right, yeah. So, yeah, he's, teenage boys, but you're, like, going into war. Where's Uncle Daddy Daemon?
Yeah, seems fair. Chris, you got anything to add to this?
No, I mean... Like, a lot of the shit that he's bitching about is the same shit that fucking Rhaenyra was bitching about when she was a teenager, too. So, I mean, we turn into our parents.
All right, next scene, we have boats coming to the beaches, the coast of King's Landing. I don't know what the fuck it is, but we see boats coming with the Targaryen banner, and they have food, and there are a couple guys on the beach, and this guy's just like, what the fuck is this shit? Then he uncovers, is like, ooh, food. And, he was elated, and I think it was right around this point when I was like, oh yeah, I should change the background on our Facebook chat, and so I did. So now we have a nice Targaryen symbol on our chat. More on this, obviously, later, for anybody that's seen this. Next up, we have Orwyle telling Alicent that Aegon sleeps 9 out of every 10 hours. And she asked what he will be if he lives, And Orwell gives, like, no response. So then she's like, oh, hey, about the letters to my father. Has anything been said? Has he wrote anything back? And Orwell sent letters to, like, all the Riverlands, Highgarden, all this shit, and nothing so far. And he says that House Beesbury is rising up against the High Towers for vengeance for Lord Beesbury's death in Season 1. And maybe this will be one of those scenes in later episode where they'll reference it and something, but I don't know. It's just kind of a continuation of information, nothing more, nothing less. Al comes outside, sees Crispin and her brother Gwaine, and she has this like sweet little moment with Gwaine. She gives him her blessing, and all while she's talking, she kind of keeps glancing over at Krispy Kreme. Gwaine has heard nothing from Otto, but by the same token, he never ever did get letters from his dad because Alicent was always his favorite. Gwaine kind of gives a little backstory on himself, saying that he had to stay at Old Town because he was the male High Tower, while Alicent got to go to King's Landing with Daddy. She asks about Darren, which is her third son that we have not met yet. We find out that he's actually a kind and well-behaved child. He's 16 now. Gwaine said that Alicent did good by sending Darren to the ward at Old Town, I guess, and Gwaine has to take off and join Crispin, and I don't know, there's a part of me that, he holds his sister's hand for a moment, and I feel like there's almost like a sense of defeat in Gwaine in this scene. Like, I think he kind of knows, like, this is not, where he's heading next is kind of going to be outnumbered and kind of a shit show, and I wonder if he revealed a little bit more story about himself because he fears, possibly dying or something. I don't know, Chris, did you get that vibe at all?
I mean, not really. I got more of the vibe of, like, I don't know, I like the scene a lot, but I mean, I think he's realizing that they're kind of in a situation where they don't have Joffrey, but they have, like, Joffrey Light, on one side or the other, depending upon which of her kids. I think, like, part of the thing was to show that, like, Darren, out of the three children, is the only one who probably should have been king. Also to show that, explain some of the background, like, why is Gwaine showing up now? Why isn't Darren there? Why, haven't we seen them? So, Otto's been hand, so they've had to have somebody in Old Town to look after the High Tower interests for the last, fucking 2 generations? Since Otto was Viserys' predecessor's hand as well.
Yeah. I mean, Otto's been there for presumably decades. So, yeah. Is Darren basically the High Tower now that's staying in Old Town? Is that what we're supposed to get out of that, right?
That, and I think the other thing that I didn't hear you mention, but that Gwaine mentions, is that not only is he good with the sword and with the loot, he's also extremely good with the ladies. So they're I think he said he's sowing bastards in Old Town as it is. So.
Oh, baby bastards!
More Dragon Riders.
It just takes after Aegon in that regard, because as far as we know, we have not heard of Aemond having any bastards yet. But Aegon. I know.
I thought we did from Kevin earlier.
I was hoping. Wishful thinking. What would be worse, the Madame or his sister, who's
the Madame
married to his brother, who's the king? It would look bad.
I don't know how you get worse than impregnating
who
your
already had
married
kids
sister.
with your brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I'm getting at. Well, it'll look bad for everyone else, like, oh, he is trying to. He's banging his sister just like Aegon did. He's just Prince Regent. I want to skip to or jump back to the beginning of that scene. I liked how when she's like, I want to give you my blessings, and Gwen's like, oh, your blessings, great.
Super helpful.
That's awesome. They'll do a lot. Yeah, they're going to do thoughts and prayers. Thanks guys. Yeah. So I did get that vibe a little bit. Like, they're fucked, and I feel like he's lucky to be alive, or that he knows he is from that last battle, and it's only going to get worse. Darren, is that his name? My girlfriend looked him up because I was like, "Who is this guy? Like, did we seen him?" So we haven't seen him.
We haven't seen him at all.
No, we have. Yeah, they've announced that he'll be in season 3, but we have not seen him or had him cast at all yet.
Yeah, I looked to see how old he was. I imagine that he was the youngest because he because you're the youngest, but she was queen, so her oldest son is next in line to be king. Even though whatever the Rhaenyra stuff, so her youngest son kind of goes off to Hightower, like Gwaine stayed, like kind of taking that role.
Well, I think that he's not in the role for Gwaine. He was actually, I think, studying at the Citadel. I don't think he was going to be a Maester, but he was studying with the Maesters.
But yeah, so they just gotta like toss a kid out, to their hometown.
Yeah, like they would call it fostering, and it's kind of like what happened. Why like Ned and Robert became friends, later on when they both fostered and were raised in the Vale with Jon Arryn. Like Theon being raised with Ned in season 1, where they would, it was, in some ways it was checks and balances, like you fuck around and I'll murder your kid, but in other ways it was also, if you were not necessarily a poorhouse, but you wanted to get your children a broader education and to establish ties beyond just your own kingdom, barony, what have you, you would send them to make contact and be raised by another noble.
Was Theon ever like... I don't even know if this was ever said or thought. Was Theon kind of in any point like considered to be like Sansa or Arya's husband? Was that ever a thought?
I don't think so, because for the most part, up until Robert showed up and dragged Ned to King's Landing, they were just kind of going by the north, where it was more like, take your time, we're not going to push it. Especially with, Robb being, the oldest, we don't have to struggle so hard to come up with heirs.
Makes sense.
Did Theon get a direwolf?
No.
So there you go. There you go.
Only the 4 real children and the bastard Snow.
So even Snow got a leg up.
Snow, well, yeah, because Snow was legit at least treated by Ned as his son, where, Catelyn didn't treat him like a son, but Ned did. At least that's the feeling I got from the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he was a bastard, but he was, even though he wasn't actually Ned's bastard, he was a bastard Stark. But
he wasn't a Greyjoy.
Yeah.
He was one of those Greyjoys.
Ned treated Theon like he was his kid, but Theon was sent there because his dad did not help out during the rebellion, and it was kind of like a hostage. I mean, that was one of the reasons why he was treated so shittily when he went back in season 2, season 3.
Oh yeah.
I mean, not to mention
when he's sticking his hand down his sister's pants as they're riding the fucking horse.
That entire thing. The first time I watched it, it was so confusing, to put all of that together. I was barely hanging on, and then just how it all ended. Why is he back here taking them hostage? It was, I had no idea what I was getting into. story-wise.
It was confusing, and then like I also sat there and my biggest question was, why was Yara so like completely chill and giggling like, tee-hee, I'm just gonna let my brother finger fuck me? Like, I don't know, that seems like a weird flex.
It's a Westerosi thing, you know.
Those Greyjoys, man, those Greyjoys.
They're like, we learned from the Lannisters.
Yeah, she's like, well, I'm not going to actually let him do it, so I'll let him get a finger in.
I just watched the episode this morning of when the Martells send Myrcella back and, of course, poison her. And Elia has that conversation with Jaime about, you can't help who you love. And I'm just like, there is so much freaking weird-ass incest in this show that you almost sometimes can forget how much is in there. But she does have, like, a line like, it was considered normal if your last name was Targaryen. And I found that funny, much more funny nowadays. Anyway, we have a little scene where Helena's playing with her bugs, but one of the bugs isn't, singing to her or some shit. I don't know. Helena's Helena. Al comes in. She wants to go to church, light a candle for Aegon and all those lost. Next, we have Hugh, because I'm pretty sure this is the one with the beard. He finds the dog, the hero of Season 2. He gives him a little scratch and good petting, and the dog runs off, and the town's going fucking crazy, snatching up the food. It's chaos, and Hugh finds a guy and just punches him in the face and steals all of his shit, which was carrots and probably some other, like, vegetables or whatever, so that'll make a fine stew, and, quite frankly, if he'd give those carrots to Adam, we know that Adam makes a fine stew with carrots. So, I don't know, I'm hoping we somehow get Adam making some stew with carrots down the road.
He had to get the wife something, though. She's been on his ass.
Well, she waited in line all day, and she couldn't get scraps, so, Hugh came through.
Yeah, finally.
I like that rhyme.
Thank you. Very unintentional, but thank you. More on this later. Actually, kind of flows right into this next scene, which is we're at the church, the sept, whatever it's called, and they're lighting the candle, and then a guard comes in and tells Alicent and Helena, like, they gotta get the fuck out of there right now, and the girls gotta get to the wheelhouse, and I'm sitting there like, I jokingly, like, mockingly said, yeah, because the wheelhouse, that's the safest place to be. I guess it was the safest place, but damn, if that's the safest place, that's a real shit show right there. Like, the wheelhouse, which could just get ignited really quickly, but that's the safe place. So the guards are trying their best. Al gets, like, some fucking fish thrown at her face. Helena's freaking out because Helena is just how she is. A guy grabs Alicent and fucking guard just cuts that dude's arm right off, which I thought was probably one of the coolest things I saw this whole season, quite frankly. Alicent demands that the guards all sheath their swords, which I get it, but Jesus, she made their jobs really hard. So they're doing their best to get the girls safe. We see that Alicent has a nasty cut on her left arm. And I'm going to ask Chris this question first and foremost. I don't know this. I'm safely assuming that probably Alicent will die before this show's over. Do you know how Alicent dies? Because I'm sitting there thinking, Viserys.
I do not know how she dies. I know basically how all the people named Targaryen die.
Yeah, same.
So it's not fish guts to the face.
Dude, I love that. I was not expecting that.
That was like as good as the arm cutting off.
Yeah. Well, I was just wondering because Viserys got the infection from the cut on the throne, right? That was like his whole downfall.
I mean, it basically led into his whole body going gangrenous.
Did they show who cut Alicent? Because I've watched it twice now, and I still don't think I caught anybody cutting her. Like, did they explicitly show it?
I didn't see a cut. I thought it was the blood from the guy's arm that got cut off that she noticed.
Oh, I think they showed the actual wound, but I could be wrong.
I don't know. I mean, I only watched it once. You guys watch it. I can't bring myself to watch the same episode twice within like a 4-day period before we do a podcast.
I only have to do it because the first time I want to enjoy the show before I thoroughly break everything down and take all the fun out of everything. Anyways, did you like the scene, Chris? Did you like the chaos and all that fun stuff? And was the wheelhouse the safe place?
I don't know what I would have done in that situation. It might have just been easier to hole up in the sept, but
yes, thank you.
It was a bad situation, and I didn't quite think of it the way that you put it, Kent. But yeah, that all tracks because I did have a feeling of this is probably something bad is going to happen in this place, like they're all going to siege it or something, But I didn't think of just lighting it on fire. They don't give the poor people fire, I guess. Not food and fire in the same day.
We good?
Yeah, is someone there?
Oh, yep. Sorry, I was talking to myself. I pulled a Russ. Anyway,
oh Jesus!
I was saying I was legit wondering if Helena was going to got because I don't know her fate in the story. So in my mind, I was like, oh, this would be an interesting thing for Helena to get killed in some Smallfolk riot that could add fuel to this ongoing civil war. But it didn't happen.
No, they need to put Helena on the small council.
Oh my God, yes.
That's what we need with the crickets. It's
the crickets should have a vote.
They killed the boy. Well, but we're in today, Helena. They killed the boy.
Oh, okay.
This one won't sing for me. I don't know what we vote on today. No, shut up.
Yeah, and Kent, when you say Helena's doing her thing, or Helena is who she is. Yeah, she's the traumatized one who pointed out her child and was murdered in front of her.
Yeah.
That's the Helena thing.
She's got a little bit of baggage, okay? Just a little. I mean, until she starts fucking Aemond, then that's going to get glorious. I'm really hoping that's how it goes. I have no idea, but now that we've talked about it enough, I want it to happen. If I want it bad enough, can we will it to happen?
We're manifesting it like Daemon and Harrenhal.
All right. Next up, we have Larys. He goes into Aegon's room and he tells I don't know if she's a septum. The girl taking care of Aegon. She's like, don't give him the milk of the poppy. Basically, he's like, Larys tells him, it's going to take away the pain, but it's also going to numb and dull your mind, and he needs his mind to regain his power because Aegon's never going to walk again. So right now, his mind's his ultimate asset. And then we get a little bit of Larys' backstory, which was nice. He had powerful lungs, but his foot was so twisted. And his father claimed that it was a bad magic in Harrenhal. Go figure.
Sorcery.
Yeah.
Sorcery. That's insane. That is insane. That's like your dad speaking in tongues. That's basically what he said. The Daemon possessed him. It was his leg got twisted during birth because it's fucking pre-Middle Ages.
He warns Aegon that people are going to stare at him or even turn away, but that is to his advantage because they'll underestimate him, and being underestimated makes you somewhat invisible at times. So he does. Larys warns that as long as Aemond is king regent or whatever the fuck term it is, Aegon's life will be in danger. Which we already kind of set that up earlier, and Aegon asked Larys to help him. So I can really start seeing where some of these pieces are going to fall into place based on the few things that I have had spoiled for me. And I like all of this. This I found this scene quite interesting and fascinating. I like that we almost kind of have two kings with two very different hands. I don't know. I think it's interesting. Kevin, what do you think?
Oh yeah, agreed. I'm all for this Larys and Aegon team up. Like, just the cripples are going to take over. They're going to rise.
Maybe not rise, but
Well, yeah. Well, not run for sure.
Walk, don't run.
Nobody's running. Yeah,
roll in your chair.
Yeah, not literally, anyways. Yeah, just lay and roll and hobble. Yeah, I like this. Larys is making moves like
he got rejected, man, and this is his vengeance.
I gotta play. So he was. Yeah. So he wasn't. Yeah. So he's like, I'm gonna get the hand from one of these motherfuckers. He was with the Master of Whispers.
Yeah. He was Aegon's Master of Whispers.
I mean, that's still what he's doing on the Small Council, right?
I think so. It's kind of like a harmless role, just information.
Yeah. Daemon's right in the Small Council, so we'll see how long that lasts. Like, year.
Yeah. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, I like this scene too. I think maybe this is also the time that Aegon starts wising up a little bit and realizing, maybe not everybody loves me.
Maybe, he knows.
Maybe I shouldn't have taken Aemon's bitch the other night.
Yeah. I mean, Aemond is on a fucking mission, and I'm all for both of these guys on their missions, so it's fun.
Yeah, Aegon doesn't remember anything, so...
Now, is he just saying that, or does he legit know?
No, he's saying that. I mean, look how fucking afraid he was of Aemond.
Yeah, he knows it's bad, and he knows what's up. I would imagine he probably doesn't remember everything, but remembers his brother shooting fire at him. Like, that, I'm sure, he'll remember from the
he hit
blackout.
me before he hit Melly's, so,
I kind of wish we could take Aegon to Harrenhal just to see how fucked up Aegon's dreams would be right now. I think that'd be a fascinating.
Why am I sleeping with Aemond?
Oh, as long as he doesn't sleep with, weird, broken-bodied Viserys, I guess we'd be okay.
I mean, it would probably be safer than where he's sleeping now.
This is true. With that, he's got that comfortable leg rest. I mean, that looks super comfy. That he's got doesn't look uncomfortable at all, man. All right, we got. Speaking of dreams and Daemon and Harrenhal, we got Daemon dreaming about Viserys crying over Emma's body and the baby's corpse, and Daemon apologizes for not being there when his brother needs him. And then our good friend Simon wakes him up and tells him that Lord Grover Tully is dead. Now the young Oscar Tully is the Lord Paramount. Daemon asks what was the cause of death. And this is where Simon, says that Alice had volunteered her skills and plied her craft, but nothing could be done. And then this one thing happened. Simon gives such a weird look, and I messaged you guys. I don't know if it was Monday or whatever. Does Simon know more than he's leading on? Chris, what do you think? Is Simon? Am I overreading into this like I normally do, or do you think that somehow Simon actually knows, maybe what Alice is? Maybe he's in on something.
Well, I mean, what is your question though? Because you asked a bunch of shit in the.
My question is, does Simon know, the viewing audience, we look at Simon as comedy right now. Does he actually know, who and what Alice is, and is...
Oh, for sure. He's not comedy, but I don't think he's also going out of his way to betray Daemon. If there's anybody that he wants to fucking kill, it's Larry's. Straight up. He's like, the dude fucking murdered my brother and my nephew. Got away with it. Stole all the money. And left me here in fucking this shitty-ass fucking haunted house taking charge of shit until, you show up, Daemon. But yeah, he definitely knows Alice is whatever she is. especially given the few looks that he gave her in the very first episode when Daemon shows up and, he's just drinking shit from her fucking cup. Simon's like, what the fuck are you doing? But do I think he's plotting against Daemon? No. Do I think he thinks Daemon's a fucking dumbass and questioning, like, what the hell he's doing, locking himself in the room and then crying on the floor? Yes, I would agree with that.
Fair enough. What about you, Kevin?
Yeah, there's definitely something going on with him, and yeah, I don't think he's straight up comedy, but he is so funny because he plays it so straight, and he's like playing off of Daemon just losing his shit the entire time. So, yeah, I like what you said, Chris. Like, he's basically stuck there waiting for Daemon to show up, and the person to show up is Daemon, and he's doing all this shit. Like, it would be nice if Daemon was actually there, like, how he was supposed to be, and had the queen and a whole bunch of dragons, and then they could, like, do this.
And money. Money would be nice.
Yeah, money.
Workers, yeah. It'd be nice to not have water pouring into their home every, like, other day, probably. I'm assuming.
I mean, that's a lot of mold that you got to clean up on a weekly basis.
Oh God, yeah, yeah. Some people there have to have asthma at this point. That's my guess, at least. I feel like we already kind of touched on this. I mean, did the dream do anything for you, or like, are you kind of? As happy as I was to see Patty back, for the dream sequences, like I don't really know if the dream sequences added much of anything to Daemon's storyline. Did it add anything extra for you, Kevin?
No, not at all.
Chris?
Yeah, no, I mean, it was nice to see him, but at the same time, too little too late.
Yeah. All right. So, I mean, this is kind of a longer scene, and I really probably wrote 2 whole sentences, but we have Adam. He sees sea smoke flying around. It chases him, and then they become best friends, and they kind of had like their little stepbrothers moment, and now they just need room for activities and all this stuff, which I'm pretty sure you knew was going to happen sooner than later, Chris. I'm legitimately questioning. Do you like? All right, so we saw how things went with Stefan with Sea Smoke earlier. I was kind of under the impression that they had to like do this whole ritual, and now like this kind of shows that a dragon's just like, hey, this is the person I like. Like, can they sense the blood? Like, how the fuck did Sea Smoke just pick this out? Like, is this a question I'm even supposed to be asking?
Well, think the ritual. I didn't even know there was a fucking ritual. Because think back to season 1 when Aemon just ran up to Vhagar and fucking rode away on him.
Right. And I mean, interestingly enough, the episode I watched yesterday was Daenerys getting on Drogon for the first time. And, you know, that's kind of, I don't know, kind of put some weird things in perspective for me. So, a dragon just kind of knows if the person's worthy?
I mean, as far as we know, you don't even need to have Valyrian blood. It's just if the dragon likes you. It's just that, like, all the people who jumped on their backs before this were all Valyrian-blooded fucking...
Probably also had...
old Valyrians or, you know, just the descendants of
Probably
them.
Also, I don't know, I would just speculate that maybe not necessarily highborns, but probably highborn... Like, I can't imagine some scrub off the street was just like, hey, I want to try to ride a dragon, and the, you know, Targaryens were like, yeah, come on in, let's see if this works.
Yeah, I mean, how are they going to get access to it?
Right.
So they could have been... It could have been, like, every single fucking person, you know, in Old Valyria could have ridden a dragon, and the only people who ever got a chance to jump on their backs were the nobility.
Right. Yeah. So, I guess that it intrigues me. I don't know. The whole thing intrigued me. I liked the scene. There wasn't a whole lot to write about, but it was interesting, and yet, I don't know, it just seemed like that was the obvious place that they were going to go with it after everything that happened with Stefan. So this hasn't been spoiled for me, so I don't know if it's been spoiled for you, but I'll ask the question anyway. Based on the fact that we know how jelly Adam is, like, is this I don't know, do you know his fate?
No. I actually just yesterday had Hugh and Ulf's fate spoiled for me, but Adam's I am not.
Yeah, I had those two. So, yeah, I was wondering if...
Probably the same fucking article, goddammit.
Was on, like, that comic book site? Like, CBR?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. It was literally on my... my Yahoo feed.
So,
I'm very, very careful about what I look up for that stuff, and I try to watch everything as quickly as possible.
Kevin, you need to tell your girl not to look up stuff, because you keep telling us that she's been looking up stuff. I'm like, that poor girl's going to have everything ruined like I have.
Well, Darren was okay, but yeah, if you just do, like, the first thing that comes up in Google, like, not full articles, but yeah. But yeah, I've just try to skim. I read a lot of movie reviews, but I never read an entire movie review of a movie that I haven't seen because I don't want the plot points.
Yeah. I guess my question really is, I mean, based on what we know, we don't know a ton about Adam, but we do sense like a little bit of jealousy. I'm curious if he's going to... I assume he's going to be on Rhaenyra's side because Corlys is on Rhaenyra's side, and I'm just curious if he'll always stay that way or if he's going to get like power hungry because he can ride a dragon. I'm kind of curious. You know, we don't know a ton about him.
Oh, I'm assuming he stays on that side because they only talk about the two betrayers.
Okay,
so
fair enough.
And he's got, he was reluctant to even be hand, so he's not like trying to like take over everything. He's not going for the most power possible, like most everyone else, it seems. But it's Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, anything's possible.
I mean, once you pimp your daughters out, what else do you got to worry about after that point?
And we will never let him live that down.
Hell no. I just hope that there's some video out there of like Jay-Z's big pimp into that scene. That's my hope and dream. All right. Next up. Oh, okay. We're right here at the end finally. And of course, now I told you guys, I was already set on this episode being really like sneaky good. Like I thought this episode was really good despite it wasn't the filler episode and it also wasn't action packed, but it led us down paths as to where we presume the season's going to kind of finish. And then we get this awesome scene, at least awesome to me. And we have Mysaria. She goes and updates Rhaenyra on how the town reacted, how the small folks reacted. Rhaenyra still fucking Debbie Downer. I don't think I can win the war. Blah, blah, blah. My son keeps questioning me. Blah, blah, blah. And... thinks that they need Daemon on their side, and Rhaenyra says that Daemon was everything that she wanted to be, carefree and a man, but he wished to possess her, but not be possessed by her, or whatever. She fears that he has turned on her, which I feel like she's been going on about for weeks now. Anyways, Mysaria, calms her down, reminds her that they still have Corlys' fleet. The guy succeeded with this whole Smallfolk thing, and that hey, your son, he's of this age, it's going to happen. And Rhaenyra has Mysaria, and that's what counts. And then Mysaria tells us the sad story. About the phantom scar that we could never see, but the scar and the other scar because her father just raped her for months until she got pregnant, and then she has another scar that we can't see, and now she cannot bear children, and she swears that she would never trust another, but she thinks that Rhaenyra is steadfast, and she sees, and she's happy that Rhaenyra sees Mysaria as somewhat like an equal or whatever, and so that's why she serves her. And then it happened, and let's face it. I always knew all along that Mysaria was going to be important. I just never expected that she was going to start, making out with the queen. But here we are. She's making out with the queen, and I am just full of glee at this point in life. And then a guard comes in, and Rhaenyra has like this weird, like, hanging her head, but stiff as a board. Like, did we get caught? I don't know how to react. And then, like, the guard's like, hey, by the way, there's a dragon's been sighted, and it has a rider on it. And they're like, oh my god, it could be the Greens, and they got another dragon. Oh no. And Rhaenyra's like, fuck this. And she goes and gets on her dragon, whose name I can't remember. Caraxes, I don't know, something. Wasn't Sunfire, I know that. And she goes, suits up, gets on her dragon, and Jace yells, mother! And the episode ends. And I could not have been more pleased that Mysaria is now making out with the queen. So, and I'm sure both of you guys as watching it, you were probably noting that I would be super thrilled about this. So, Kevin, what'd you think about it?
When she went to hug Mysaria, I was like, wait, is she going to make out with her? And then they hug, and I'm like, and I just completely dismissed the thought after that. But then she had the neck move, and I was like, oh, I know that move. I know where this is going. So, yeah, it's definitely good. Was there anything in Season 1 that she had some sort of lesbian tendencies?
No.
Besides,
I mean, I always kind of
the
thought
normal,
that, like, before she wanted to hook up with her uncle, she wanted to hook up with Alicent.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. So is this kind of what it's telling us now, that she probably was in love with Alicent when she was younger?
I just want to point out that Mysaria has now made out with both Rhaenyra and her husband.
Oh my god, maybe we'll get the threesome that The Walking Dead always wanted to get.
That's what I was thinking of.
They all got to take a trip out to Harrenhal and get weird.
Could you imagine the dreams in that?
Is Harrenhal like the Hotel California, man? Like, I'm a little worried about anybody going there now.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah.
Are you really worried about Alfred going there?
As long as Simon is just sitting there watching. That's what counts to me.
Simon's in the corner beating off.
Yeah. And then Dave was like, stop watching me! But wants him to, like, still watch him.
Turn your head, but keep watching.
Yeah. You gotta stay in the room. Stop looking at me, Swan.
That's what I was thinking.
I had to do it.
Shampoo.
I was gonna do. We're gonna do Billy Madison, but I want to do some shout outs to our shout out to Chris, because basically, and you made that call of Alan and Adam straight up, and we got it the very next episode. I feel, for the most part, anyways. At least the dragon. So
thank you. Yeah, I mean, I knew a little bit about it. I mean, I honestly at this point would assume that Corlys is setting, at this point, Alan to be his heir and Adam to be his enforcer. If he knew what was coming. Yeah.
Yeah. And what dragon was that?
Sea smoke.
Is that the one
up. Yeah.
That burned Stefan.
Yep.
Yeah. Old Stuffy. Snuffed out Stuffy. Yeah, I know. I'm sad he's dead. I got so many awesome names for him now.
I like how every time we learn a new Kingsguard's name, they die.
Westerling has survived. We'll never see him, but he survived at least. I'm just disappointed we don't have Eric and Eric. They were a delight.
I mean, I fucking love 2 episodes ago, Kevin was like, what is that guy's name was with Rhaenyra? And then we find out, Sir Stefan Darkwood. And then the very next episode.
Yeah. He got nuked. What'd you think, Chris?
For
the whole damn scene,
part?
man.
The
Making out,
session?
Lesno, whatever.
I mean,
pick apart, and go for it.
It makes sense. Like I said, I kind of got the impression that she had a thing for Alicent back in the day. Maybe not necessarily in love with her, but definitely friendly and curious. She's been just getting beat up by all the men in her life lately, and as soon as somebody offers her some compassion and comfort, she'd go with it. The two things that I question, one of them you brought up, like, she's the queen. Who gives a fuck if she's making out with a chick?
Right.
She could just be like, dude, you didn't see that.
Or I'll have your tongue. Yeah.
Yeah. Or I'll burn your, Dracarys. But the other
Or
thing...
I'll slap you in the face in the hallway.
My question is how much of this is Mysaria just manipulating her versus, actual feelings?
This is going to be me foolish, and I'll probably regret this. I think it's sincere. I think Mysaria sees her as the leader that... the only viable leader. So I think she's sincere.
Yeah, but, I mean, she can see her as the only viable leader, but, like, does that necessarily mean you want to just fucking make out with her immediately?
I mean, if you can make out with, the queen, why not?
Because as we've seen with Kristen, it causes, post-curricular activity shit.
This is true. I feel like Mysaria is kind of in a... She don't really have much to lose. Like, she's pretty much lost everything. She was in a prison cell 3-4 episodes ago, and now she's making out with the queen. That's a pretty damn good turnaround. I don't know. I think she's got to ride this for as long, as she can.
Yeah, but I mean, she's not a stupid person, and if she supports... Rhaenyra, as like you say, you think she does. She's got to know that this is not going to be good for the queen on a political landscape. Like, imagine what would happen if Daemon finds out.
He'll have dreams about it. Yeah.
He's got to be conscious for 24 hours before he can really.
I mean, part of young Daemon would definitely have been like, "Oh yeah, threesome, let's go." Part of new Daemon, I think, is definitely way more possessive over what he views as his than what I would suspect people
both women that he kind of threw out, but yet in his mind probably he's like, nope, they're still mine. Don't want them. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, he's got to leave Harrenhal in order to really have a say, is my opinion.
This also This points to Rhaenys having to die because that left only one female confidant for Rhaenyra. And because Rhaenys and Rhaenyra making out would have been weird even by this show's standards. But this makes all the sense in the world because every male character, aside from Corlys, pretty much, is very dismissive. So, I don't know, it's like a cool little power duo. I'm all for it. Of course.
I mean, even just a moment of happiness for Rhaenyra, I think, even if it just happened that one time, which it probably won't, but you know what I mean? Even if it's just this one time with all this shit going on, yeah, I'm happy for her.
Yeah, I'm not upset about it. I'm curious.
I'm with you, Chris. You can't trust nobody.
Yeah, it's Westeros.
Nobody, especially someone in that position like Varys or Larry.
Anybody whose name ends with a YS or has a YS.
Don't get me wrong.
Oh my God, her name.
I'm pretty sure that Larry's is all into Alicent's feet, but I don't doubt that he would also betray the fuck out of her if given a chance.
I don't know. I think Kevin just stumbled on something. Varys, Larys both have a YS, and Mysaria has a YS. I no longer trust her, and I love her.
I'm not gonna lie. When we were getting the scene with Larys and Aegon in bed, I was really surprised he wasn't like, okay, let me see your feet now.
I want to see that broken stump of yours. Oh God. Yeah.
All right. You just look straight ahead. You don't turn your head. Don't look over here. Don't look your one eye over here.
I'm going to take those drugs and just rub your feet. Well,
And when he's done, do you remember anything? No.
Like, no!
Aegon's going to turn into the show's fucking Sansa Stark, just abused in the worst ways.
Oh, I hope not. I like him way more than I like
Sansa.
Sansa.
Crossed with Reek.
So,
Aegon
I mean,
and Helena are my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
Like king and queen.
absolutely.
So do you think
of all time,
after he's been burned, he still has the dragon cock?
Yeah. Yeah, he's got the dragon cock. It probably just looks all funky. So, all right. Did you guys find this to be a better than filler episode?
yes.
No.
No. I think this has been the weakest episode of the
Damn
season
your
so far.
Blackheart. Really? This the weakest?
Well, there you
I
have
thought
it.
this was at least... I think there's been two other that have been weaker than this, at least. This hasn't been a great season. There's been three weak episodes.
It started strong for the first couple. Episode 4 was pretty good. I don't need a ton of action. I mean, there wasn't a ton of action in most of Game of Thrones. But if you're going to be doing the political content, that's great. It's the characters that I really enjoy. But we're just kind of spinning our wheels on a lot of shit. Like Rhaenyra in Dragonstone. It's the same shit over the last couple of weeks. Daemon in Harrenhal. It's like we're getting... I don't want to say 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but that's basically like the equivalent. Like we get a couple of really great scenes and some cool political beats. And then we get like 20 to 30 minutes of just nothing burger scenes. Or scenes that they're setting something that might become 2 to 3 seasons from now up. Or just the pacing's weird too. Like they'll spend 7 minutes on a Daemon dream flashback and then 45 seconds on like Aemon terrorizing his brother. It's not consistent, and I don't think it's the direction. I think it's the writing.
I think this just goes hand in hand with the belief that this is going to go 5 seasons instead of 4. I think if they were going 4, a lot of this stuff wouldn't be so repetitive. I think it'd be moving at a brisker pace, and I'd be for that. I'd rather have 4 excellent seasons than 5 seasons with, I don't know, some weak episodes.
I have a theory on why there's only 8 episodes instead of 10. This was a question from like the first podcast I think we did. I don't think I said this on here. Is that the writer's strike might have shortened it?
Maybe.
I'm sure it had to affect it because it was like right smack dab in the middle, right? The writer's strike happened right as the first season ended, or probably got greenlit for a second season.
I mean, that sounds about right. I don't remember what the exact way it worked out.
No. Yeah. But I'm sure it had to affect it in some way. So maybe that, but I mean, I'm really going to reserve judgment for the season as a whole once it finishes, and I feel like something's going to happen in the next episode. I have no idea about any of the spoilers, but I feel like there's going to be something, even if it ends on a oh shit moment, and then, I'm hoping season 8 delivers the goods.
I would say if I was going to make a prediction about something big next week or next episode, maybe something in King's Landing with the Smallfolk. That, I don't know, just a guess. I don't know. I could see Hugh's daughter and wife getting killed or something just to, I don't know, make it feel like something happened, or Sylvie dying or something. You know, like one of those side characters that we've gone to kind of know, but if they die, whatever.
Or punch out another street person for like a ham leg or something.
Oh my god, that'd be awesome.
Some produce.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the other question I had for this episode is like, you had like what, 2 to 4 people find that ship, the boat that rolled up with all the food.
Mm-hmm.
And they were willing to share it with everybody?
They didn't hoard it. Yeah, exactly, they didn't hoard it. Even though 2 episodes ago, Kat was talking about how everybody was hoarding everything. Yeah. Kind of weird. But I guess the question is, how would, like, I don't know, like, how...
You gotta tell someone about it, though. Like, they got the dragon signature on it. Like, you know, you don't want to tell people that there's food, but then you gotta, like, tell them that, like...
I mean, just do the same thing that Hugh did and put it all under your clothes and walk around like you're fucking George R. R. Martin fan.
That'd be great.
The wife's gonna get off my ass tonight.
She's gonna get on my dick.
Yeah.
Oh,
got some cabbage soup.
Oh, that house is gonna smell repugnant tonight.
Oh yeah, with sex and cabbage soup. I'll tell you, that carrot isn't for the soup.
I know what it's for. I just watched Jack Frost on Monday.
So out of season, but I love it.
All right. With all that being said, I'll just toss out the season 6 question that I have for you guys that goes hand in hand with Game of Thrones. This being the 6th episode. So 6th season, well, at the very end of season 5, you know, we get the infamous For the Watch scene, and then, you know, Melisandre, you know, brings Jon Snow back to life. Resurrects him. That's the word I was looking for. And I guess in the creative what if, you know, my question was, if you could bring back any character that we already knew and saw in the show, who would you bring back and why? I think, Chris, you said you had an answer, so I may go with you first, and then Kevin, since Kevin, I don't know if you're sure about your answer yet.
That sounds good.
Okay. So, Chris, who would you resurrect?
I would bring back Khal Drogo, because it would be such a different show if he never died. Like, think about it. Dany wouldn't have had to set herself on fire, so we never would have gotten the dragons. The invasion would have happened way earlier. We never would have had any of the slaves freed. The Dothraki would have just fucked up all of Westeros and then probably pieced out back to Essos with all their slaves and all of that shit, in which case, you know, I'm assuming that the Watch just gets overrun and the White Walkers destroy all of the 7 kingdoms and then maybe so it would have been you know, they would have ended up, Dany would have been the princess who was promised eventually, you know, when a Red Priestess finds her over in Essos. So it just would have been a completely different and interesting story.
No, that's really... It's timely, too, because I watched, like, as Daenerys was with Drogon, Drogon's just like, I don't want to fucking fly anymore, and all of a sudden she's surrounded by the, I don't know, the Dothrakis. Was that the Khalasar that they called it, I think?
Yeah. Yep.
So, yeah, no, that's actually really... It would be really interesting, because she would have had the muscle. I don't know if Jorah would have even gotten a second chance.
He wouldn't have. I mean, Drogo would have had to die for him to get a second chance.
Yeah, I feel Drogo would just fucked him up. That would have actually been a hell of a good fight, too. Yeah, no, that's a really good answer. What about you, Kevin?
The Night King. Give one more. Try it one more time. Would all winter hell on Earth be a better ending than the one?
As long as we could see it, you know, I'd be okay with that.
Imagine being able to resurrect yourself, like you die, like he's playing Elden Ring.
Yep,
comes back in a bonfire.
You know what would be cool? What's his name? The Brotherhood Without Banners. So they're Eric Dondarrion? Is that...
Beric Dondarrion.
Dondarrion, right?
Yep.
Oh, that was pretty close, whatever I said. Eric Dondarrion, or whatever. Yeah, if he could resurrect one more time, that would have been cool. Or the other priest guy who did the resurrecting.
Yeah, Thoros and
I thought that would have been cool. If they could resurrect some more people. But I guess, because we were like at the end, but we could have had him for a little bit longer, but I guess it added the suspense. So yeah, those guys were cool in their own way.
My answer is to redeem a character that I still don't feel should have gotten killed the way that they did, and that's Varys. Like, I know he may not have been like a good guy, but if you really break it down, fucking 97% of the cast are not good guys. Like, you have Samwell and Gilly and maybe the baby. Like, there's all your good guys and Ghost. But Varys really, I feel like he had a lot of the realm's best interest. Like, he always said that, and I don't know, rewatching it enough times, I buy into that, and I feel he got really fucked over in his death. So I'm curious how, he would have just had to live long enough. I'm curious how his role would have been in the end, or maybe they just didn't.
It would have fucking fixed the fucking ending, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have had like, oh, Bran has the best story, so he needs to be king. Like, he would have been like, what the fuck are you smoking, Tyrion?
Yeah, I don't know. It just, I really feel that Varys got
fucked.
Like
John Merck's the chick who murdered me. Fuck you, Grey Worm. He's not going to the North.
The guy with no balls has more balls than Bran.
I think, I was going to say Mira, but Mira didn't die, right?
No, as far as we know.
Okay, yeah. So that wouldn't have been a good pick. Yeah, I the only other person that I guess would have intrigued me a little bit more was technically Joffrey, but I feel like they did what they were going to do with him. There wasn't a whole lot more. Like, they kind of had to switch it up eventually. So,
what about Hodor?
That one's really one of the saddest deaths. That's not as high up as Shireen, but it is right there for me. Now that I'm rewatching, I'm like, why the fuck was I ever on Stannis' side? There was I think my second playthrough.
You were on Stannis' side?
I think it was the second time I watched. I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm really on Stannis' side, and then I'm like, wait, I feel really bad about this.
Up until the point of when they burn the child.
So
you could stand with Stannis up until that point, but then it's like you still kind of like him, and you kind of want him to win, but also when he doesn't, you're okay with it.
I think what bothers me,
the Red Woman.
Like, I hated that Brienne is the one that got the kill on him. I hated that. She did not she didn't deserve to get the fake out Hound kill and Stannis kill. She didn't deserve it. I will go to my deathbed on that one. She didn't deserve it.
Yeah, but that was kind of a cool scene though. Like, whether she deserved it, because it was like not. I don't know. There was something about that. I mean, it was very bittersweet. But yeah, I don't know.
Even though I just rewatched it, I'm still sitting here scratching my head. And Chris, you probably might be able to give the best answer here. What the hell was Renly's actual claim? Like,
he had none.
He didn't have. He had no claim.
He literally had no claim.
Okay.
He was just a brother of the king, but he wasn't the next oldest brother. He wasn't the king's heir as a child. Although, I mean, we knew that Joffrey wasn't a Baratheon, but he had no legitimate claim. He just was talked into it by his boyfriend.
Who technically had more of a claim? Would it have been Stannis or Gendry?
It would have been Stannis, because Gendry was illegitimate.
Okay. Man, some of these rules for succession
as soon
are a
as,
little...
as soon as you legitimize a bastard like Roose did with Ramsay,
Ramsay.
you make them the heir, and it erases all the illegitimacy. But not being acknowledged, shit, not even realizing that Gendry was a fucking thing, Robert had no chance to do that.
Also, I guess I never really... Maybe I didn't pay attention. Maybe I forgot that I paid attention. But there seems to be, strong hints, people suggesting that Cersei is the one that got Robert killed. And I just thought Robert got drunk and got gored by a fucking boar. Is there more to that?
She had the wine poison, or drugged. So he was, because Robert was a fucking professional alcoholic. So,
Right.
But he was slowed down because it was it wasn't poison, he was drugged. So when, he goes in after the boar, he's too slow and gets fucking gored and killed.
It's the cousin, right?
Yeah, the one that Lancel.
Yeah,
Yep.
Lancel?
Yeah, he was involved. Doesn't he kind of talk about that?
Yeah,
with,
that's
yes.
what makes him go to her bitching about, feeling guilty, and then she sleeps with him to get him to cover it up, and then he feels guilty about that when the church shows up and confesses to all of it.
Yeah. I got to watch The Walk of Shame today, and that really is the highlight of my day. The only thing I really dislike is how noticeable in a few scenes that, the digital face of Lena on the girl's body is. I looked up Lena, and I was like, she did nude scenes in 4 or 5 other things prior, but she, just didn't do the nudity for this for whatever reason. But they did it probably as good of a job as technology would allow, but still there are some shots where it looks really weird with her face.
Yeah, I mean, she's a main part of the show, and she's like a human being, that's pretty intense. And I mean, I know that Emily, who played Daenerys?
Amelia
Clark. Yeah, I know that she says she'll never do another nude scene again, and I almost feel like the nude, we don't get as many from major characters in this because they've all seen Game of Thrones and have that in their claws. So I think not
only that, I mean, Lena had the clause with her, and fucking Bronn couldn't be on screen either. I love that clause.
I didn't hear about that one, but I mean, it's the difference between doing the scene in 300 where it's you, Gerard Butler, and just the handful of crew that are filming the scene, and walking through the entire fucking King's Landing with all of the 800 extras that they had there.
Yeah.
Just all jumping out, flashing their dick,
and getting all that shit thrown at you. I mean, because you can't really fake all of it. You can add some stuff to it,
right? I've had half the cocks that you've had, and I'm a whore. That line cracks me up so much. There's so many good lines, but yeah, I get it. So the whole thing with Lena Headey and Jerome Flynn is that they used to date and they couldn't stand each other. So it was weird because of Bronn's interaction with Tyrion and Jaime, but him and Lena weren't to do a scene together because they couldn't stand each other after they broke up.
Shit, yeah.
That actually makes sense, though. It actually works for the show, I believe, because she probably wouldn't really. The character herself wouldn't really want to be with Bronn, because Bronn's low level. He's good to do shit.
She wouldn't give him time of day at all, but I could see her threatening him or just talking down to him. I guess
she'd tell Jaime to tell him what to do. Is that...
Yeah. All right. I got nothing else. So I'll shut up, and I haven't watched anything new either. I really have had no life. So I've been watching Simpsons, old Simpsons. So starting at season 4, and I may be on season 6 now. So I've been doing that while video gaming, and that's the only thing. But I will have watched. I rewatched. I did want to tell you. I did rewatch Village of the Damned Monday. I didn't drink to it though.
Good for you. Don't die. Don't die, Kent. Not for.
What about you, Kevin?
I actually rewatched Shocker. I don't know if I told you that.
Yes, and I laughed about it, and I told Eric, I'm like, Kevin's watching Shocker again for some unknown reason.
Oh, well, it's in my collection, so I do everything in order. So I've been watching all my Wes Craven movies. So I also watched People Under the Stairs the other day, which is so good. So good. And really the only... So you didn't get a chance to watch Abigail?
No, I wanted to Monday, but I had friends over, and we were just trying to do stuff that Russ would probably enjoy, so that's why we did Jack Frost. And
oh, perfect.
Yeah. So, Abigail, I'll talk about next week.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. That's what I'll leave it as. Yeah, it's a fun time. Even with the they were like selling the movie that way with the twist out there, right? Like that it's a vampire movie.
I feel that they are. Yeah, they revealed it.
I felt like I knew that part. I didn't know the whole setup to it. I know we've talked about it already, but I mean, it would have been cooler if it was kind of like From Dusk Till Dawn. But we kind of knew that was a vampire, but we didn't know exactly how that was going to play out. Especially
didn't know the first 20 to 30 minutes was like a heist movie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was pretty cool. Good cast. Oh, is it Melissa Barrera?
From Scream 5 and 6, yeah.
Yeah, she's in it, and I'm hoping she gets some more work, and this movie kind of stands out. I think the reviews are good. I think they might be overrated a little bit, so I want to keep it. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. Definitely one of the better movies of the year, not only just of horror, but not like the best.
Did you get to see what the A Violent Way or whatever the fucking violent movie is?
In a Violent Nature?
Yeah, have you seen either of you seen that?
I have not.
I haven't, and I want to. Okay.
There's a lot of horror that came out this year that I want to see that I haven't seen yet.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw Twister. I saw Twisters at the theater.
Was it fun, at least?
Oh, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit long. It's like 2 hours. It should have been like an hour and 40 minutes. But, yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a great popcorn movie. And, like, the way they, I'll say the kills of, like, getting spun up. It had, like, almost like a horror elements to it with natural disaster movies. Yeah, it was cool to see a good, disaster film in the theater. It wasn't like great either, but yeah, it's it was one of the better better movies of the year I've seen so far. Definitely in my top 15 movies.
I do have one quick question. I don't mean to cut you off, Chris or Kevin, but do I need to have seen like the newer Kong and Godzilla movies to enjoy the Kong, whatever one's out on Max now?
Yes.
The newest
one.
one.
It won't make sense if you haven't seen it.
Okay.
I haven't seen the new one, but I would say
I mean,
not all of them, because it is a lot.
You can probably you probably can skip Skull Island and Monarch, but like Godzilla, King of the Monsters, Godzilla vs. Kong, and now this Godzilla Cross Kong. I mean, 3 movies to watch the one that's out now.
Okay, that seems like a days of work, but that'd be fine.
Yeah, you might as well do Kong Skull Island at that point. I skipped Monarch, but that's on Apple.
Yeah, I don't have Apple, so.
Okay. I don't know if I have that either. I mean, I might actually have the movie, but I'm not sure.
I mean, it's a show, that one.
Oh, okay, then...
John Goodman.
Oh, somebody here talked about it, and I kind of paid attention at one point, I believe. So,
yeah.
I will say, any day now I should be getting The Thing in 4K on disc here, and I'm very excited to give that a shot in 4K.
Nice.
So, what about you, Chris?
I have had a fucking busy week with shit. All right, so we watched all of the first half of season 6 of Cobra Kai when it came out. Really good. I fucking love that show. We finished The Boys season 4. It was not the strongest ending, but my wife really liked it. Caught up on House of the Dragon. We were going to watch Abigail Sunday night, and then we saw that you already had Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, which was supposed to come out on Netflix on Monday. So we watched that on Sunday.
I bought both of those the same day.
So we watched that instead. My wife's like, "Hey, where's Kristen Wiig?" And most of I'm like, "Wait, you didn't watch fucking what was the one before that?
Afterlife, right?
Yeah." She's like, I was like, "You didn't watch Afterlife?" She's like, "What's that?" I'm like, "Apparently I watched that one by myself when I thought I watched it with you, Krista," because she did not remember any of that plot. So she's like, "Yeah, this doesn't really make sense to me." I'm like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "Well, because you skipped the movie that this is a direct sequel to." So she was like, "Oh, it was okay, but I'm not going to watch Afterlife." I thought it was just okay too. Then for her, we started watching, but for me, rewatching Lost, which I haven't watched since it was on initially, back in, 2010? Yeah,
Nice.
So, yeah.
I'm on season 2.
Yeah, we're into season 1. So, yeah, I watched, more TV in the last week than I have in, the last several months. Just, I don't know why. But, yeah, it was a good week for stuff. Yeah, there's a ton of stuff that I want to see. I wanted to see In a Violent Nature. I want to see Maxine. I want to see... What was the other one? I want to see Longlegs. I've heard Oddity is really good. But if I go to one horror movie this year, I am probably... the next movie I go to is probably going to be Deadpool and Wolverine, because my wife loves Deadpool. Maybe just Ryan Reynolds. But I really want to see Aliens Romulus. So I might go to the theater to see that one.
Same on Deadpool, and also, Alien Romulus. I'm doing Alien versus Predator, and I've watched the Alien versus Predator movies, and when you watch all of them, it's pretty good. Alien versus Predator Requiem is definitely better than Alien versus Predator.
No.
It's so hard.
It's PG-13.
It's PG-13, but the acting,
No, anytime. All right, so this is where I draw the line, and this is what I have a problem with Predator 2, is whenever the Predator works with humans and isn't killing them, I'm just taken out of the whole thing, and I almost lose everything that was going on beforehand. That's where I draw the line. That's where I'm just kind of I lose my suspension of disbelief.
I have Requiem as one of the lowest rated horror movies on my list. Full of shit movies, and it's still very down there with the shit. So
it's not that bad.
We'll just have to agree to disagree. They went R-rated and they did some cool gore, but then you also have extremely shitty special effects. At the beginning when the facehugger jumps at the guy and the hunter shoots him and the acid splashes him and his arm just falls off.
Yeah, that was awesome.
It was such a
fun.
shitty way, though, man. It looked like a Lego, the Lego arm just fell off rather than, something that actually melted and was falling off because of that.
It is a B.
And for every cool scene, when the hot chick from fucking Being Human gets impaled at the end with the giant fucking throwing star that the Predator throws down the hallway. There's also 16 scenes to go along with that are so dimly lit that you can't see what the fuck was going on in the first place.
No, you're right. But it's so much fun.
Kevin, I need you to watch Wrong Turn 4 and tell me if you find that fun.
I gotta
Aliens versus Predator, the first one, would have been so good if they just did it as an R-rated movie. I mean, just think about it had a good cast, it had a cool premise, and the PG-13 thing was the only thing that really held it back from being, almost like a lesser version of Jason versus Freddy, or Freddy versus Jason. Instead, we get, AVP.
I'm just grateful that Prey came out and redeemed my faith in the Predator franchise.
Yeah, I really liked Prey a lot.
I think the thing about the Predator, Alien versus Predator, is that we actually had 4 Alien movies at that point when Alien versus Predator came out. We only had 2 Predator movies, so it kind of just it. Yeah. So I feel like now with the other Predator movies, whether you like them or not, they all have like a different vibe to them, which I appreciate.
The problem with Aliens versus Predator is instead of going like with the Dark Horse comics, which fucking were written back in the 90s and were really good, they keep trying to reinvent the wheel. Like the idea that, you know, it's a futuristic sci-fi Weyland-Yutani aliens on multiple planets universe, and this one female impresses the Predator so much that they fucking grab her up, turn her into a Predator, and bring her with them hunting aliens, is like such a cool idea. And they fucking never do that. They're like, oh, let's throw it in the Antarctica in the 1990s. Let's throw it in Colorado in the 1990s. Just make it darker, you know. So I don't know.
That's so true, though. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to do the Alien franchise soon. I've got to, because I'm behind by Covenant and Prometheus. I haven't seen either.
You haven't seen those? Oh, yeah. Dude, the Alien versus Predator, do them all chronologically. It's through release. And,
I did that.
Start with Aliens.
And
with the Predator movies?
Yeah, I did all of them. So I did 8 movies up to that point. 10 movies in total, right? 4 Alien, 4 Predator, and 2 Alien vs. Predator. That's where I left off.
But you didn't. Oh, but you didn't do the Ridley Scott ones. The newer ones. Yeah, Prometheus is cut.
Yeah,
oh.
I did not. So I cut myself up. You know, wherever the last movie, which I assume was one of the Predator movies. Was it The Predator?
The Predator was 2018.
So yeah, I think that's where I cut myself.
Or 19?
Something like that. And I don't know if Prometheus was before that or not, but I just didn't get to it. So.
Yeah, I think Prometheus was before that. Covenant might have been.
Prometheus is next for me, which is after Alien versus Predators, 2010, and then it's the Ridley Scott one.
Even that one wasn't too bad. I mean, it wasn't great, but it was
Predators?
way better than the Predator.
Predators should have been.
I had fun with it.
I like the Predator way more than Predators.
The Predator was.
Well, I might too.
The Predator was the. Like, for me, the bottom ranking is Aliens versus Predator Requiem, then The Predator, and then there's a huge jump before Aliens versus Predator.
No, wait, just to make sure, we're talking, like, there's one that has the good cast with, like, Adrian Brody and Lawrence Fishburne. That's the one I don't like. That's the one I think's trash. And then there's one with the bad cast that's actually a lot of fun, and I don't remember which is which.
Yeah, the one where they said autism is a superpower? Yeah, no. Being a father of an autistic child, it is not a superpower.
The Predator did that?
Yeah.
I've only seen that one.
The autistic kid who can drive the Predator ship with his... yeah. It's
yeah. Oh, yeah, but I like Predators. I like the premise, and it was fun. I mean, after you see Alien versus Predator and Alien versus Predator Requiem, Predators was kind of like a step up of that and had a way better cast.
And it gave us a little bit of lore, like there are different types of predators. There are the predator hounds, they can pull people to other planets, so it was interesting. Not necessarily a great movie, but I would give it like a solid C.
Adrian Brody should not have been
it was fun
in that movie. He was wrong for that role.
Yeah, but it's like a fun summer, I'll watch these movies at 11 o'clock at night.
I'll take Adrian Brody over Topher Grace any day of the week.
Sure. That's the only problem. The problem I have with that is that Topher Grace, they have that stupid reveal thing, and I don't think they need it. I think it would have been a more cohesive film if he was just a doctor.
Even if he's a serial killer, why are you going to murder the people who are the only reason that you're surviving to get off the planet?
It goes really off the rails there. Because I'm normal here with the Predators. It's just ridiculous.
I mean, you wait until you get in the ship, and then you have the reveal, and it probably makes a 100% better movie with way more tension.
Yeah. And then they pull in aliens and let Topher Grace out out of the spaceship, like through the cargo, even though it's a different ship.
Dude, that would have been cool. Or pull an Aliens 3 and have Topher Grace fucking murder the Adrian Brody and Alice Braga.
Yeah.
I do like Alice. All right, we good to wrap this up?
Yeah, I think
Yes.
we've meandered
Yep.
long enough. 2.5 hours for an hour-long episode.
An hour and 8 minutes, Chris.
My bad.
Yeah.
I only know because I kept watching the clock. I'm like, fuck, I'm going to be even later than I said I would be. So, anyways, looking forward.
All right, guys. We'll be back next week with Season 2, Episode 7. Have a good week.
See ya.
We choose fire.